Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those joining for the first time, you can call me Sarafina Napoleon, and this is the channel where we get to talk about everything studying and living in America. So please click the subscribe button, like and share this video. On today's edition, we will be talking about recommendation letters. Yeah, because something happened to me during my application process. So I'll be sharing my story with you, how you can navigate your way as well. I did not use recommendation letters from any professor or lecturer. I did not do that. So you want to find out how you can also navigate your way, you need to stick around. And don't forget to click the subscribe button. I'll be right back. The question now is, how did you do it, Sarafina? Allow me to laugh for a second because it's quite funny for me. I would always talk about my experiences because I think that's the best way I can give advice. That's the best way I can communicate and share information. So I graduated in 2016, yeah, and I did not start anything graduate studies abroad until like 2021. Yeah, 2021. That was when I started the whole process. So I have been out of school from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So you understand, like I've been out of school for like 4 to 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So I was not in a place to reach out to anyone who had taught me in the past. That was where the struggle started from. So now at that point, I was just saying to myself, how do you go about this? And during my application process, I was studying at National Open University. But the thing is, even as a postgraduate student at National Open University in Lagos, I had no idea who was my lecturer or anyone at the time, because it was more of you studying on your own. When it's time for your assignments and tests, you take them online, you submit. Time for your exam, you just go into the examination hall and they're giving you papers to just do your exam, and that's it. So you don't even know who's grading you, you don't know who's marking your script, you don't even know anything. The only person I knew at National Open University was my project supervisor, who did not even teach me in the first place. So how am I supposed to ask him for a recommendation letter when he doesn't even know me, if not for the project in the first place? So that was where I knew that I needed to think outside of the box. The first thing I did was, I think I met someone from my school. I graduated with him, and he was like, he is close to one of the lecturers in my school, that he could get me recommendation letters from the lecturer for a particular fee amount. And the first thing that came to my mind was, this lecturer you're talking about, yes, he taught me, but he doesn't even know my capabilities in the first place. And he went on and said, I could, if I give him the fee, the money, that he would send it to the lecturer would give me a recommendation letter on the school's letter-headed paper. And what I'll have to do is scan, edit your soft copy. That way I can duplicate for many schools, different schools. And I was like, yo, what are you talking about? No, hell no, this is not going to work. Like, for a moment, I was like, okay, let's even think how possible it is. You get one recommendation letter from a lecturer who doesn't know you in court, but just doing it because he taught you at some point, and you edit and you start duplicating. So what would happen if they decide to contact the lecturer? So I was left on my own to come up with my decision and come up with whatever way I want to do it. Now, at that time, they said that it could be an academic recommendation or a professional recommendation. Yeah. So you've got academic and you've got professional. So, and academic, I had none, but professional, I had a lot, because for those who know me, I work with arguably the biggest radio brand in Nigeria. So I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that if I was going down the professional path, that means I should be able to get good recommendation letters from people I have worked with. So at the time, I already worked like 3 years in my organization. So what did I do? I had to reach out to people within my organization, people that I knew that they had like top position. So I used my line manager. The next person I used my programs manager. So they had like different departments in my organization. I'm a sports broadcaster, presenter, and the rest. So I had to use the head of the sports department, who was in charge of the group sports department, and I used the programs manager, who is in charge of programming as well at my media organization. They needed like 3 recommendation letters. So I used my line manager, I used my programs manager, and I used the third person I used had to come from not within my organization, it was outside of my organization, but still within the media space. Not just within the media space, but someone within the sports media profession that I have worked with as well, that could attest to my potentials, my leadership skills, my ability to succeed at the program, and the rest. So that was what I did. Those were the 3 people I used, because they needed 3 recommendation letters. So most times when you ask people to write a recommendation letter for you, some would say, give me something. Some would rather just write it for you. Some would say you need to come up and put the write-up together and send to them while they do the submission. Now, for some schools, I think a lot of schools, they do more of online recommendation. So that online recommendation is, you just have to impute the official email address of the person that you're using, and when you submit, they will send the person a link to submit their recommendation online. Why some schools, they want a document recommendation, which means it's got to be in a Word form, like a document, and you upload. So that one, you don't bring the email, you don't impute the email of the person, you just upload the file itself. Please, you should be the one drafting the recommendation letter. It is important. You should be the one drafting the recommendation letter. And while you're drafting that letter, you should draft it from the position of the person sending it on your behalf. So it should be like, I am recommending so and so student for this. And it is important for the person to state how long they've known you, because if the person has known you for barely 3 months, that person should not be recommending you in the first place. The person cannot really assess you based on just 3 months of work experience of working with you professionally. So you need to state how long the person has known you, how long you guys have worked together, and in what capacity. So if someone is recommending you, the question is, in what capacity is this person recommending you? How is this person able to assess or tell or describe how good you are, your qualities? So you cannot just pick a random person that you've not worked with before. You can't do that, because the person cannot even say what is going to get the attention of the graduate admission board at the end of the day. Your target when drafting your recommendation letter should be how someone can be able to attest for you, because the whole essence, the whole point of getting a recommendation letter in the first place is for them to know that someone can actually attest to what you can do. It's for them to know that someone can tell them if you will be able to excel as a graduate student at the end of the day. So they don't want to give admission to someone who's going to fall by the wayside because they don't have what it takes to succeed in a graduate program. Because trust me, graduate studies is actually very demanding and mentally sapping. So they need someone who will be able to put everything together and also be able to excel, because they don't want to give an admission to someone who's going to drop out. It doesn't tell well of the university at the end of the day, because they also want to look at the graduation rates, the success rates, and everything. So the person should be able to state how long they've known you, in what capacity. Like, I have worked with this person as this person's line manager or as a professional colleague, and the rest. So there needs to be that whole talk of, how do you know this person? How many years have you worked with this person? In what capacity? Now, after talking about the capacity they are recommending you, like your relationship with them, then they get to describe your abilities. Yeah. Your abilities. Like in my own case, my line manager talked about how good I am when you talk about executing tasks. My line manager talked about my learning skills. Very important because you're going into a learning environment. So it is very, very, very key that they talk about, they address your learning skills and your ability to take corrections. Also talk about my team skills, working in a team, because during graduate studies, you would have to work with people. There are times where you have group assignments. So if you don't have good team skills, then it becomes a problem. You're going to struggle because you'll be working with people from diverse cultures, people from different parts of the world. So you need to have the ability to work with people. And he talked about my leadership skills. Leadership is very, very important for your graduate studies. The person recommending you needs to have that correlation with the course you're going for. Like during my time, I was going for sport administration. I was already working in a media organization as a sport broadcaster and a journalist. So I already knew what it takes to be in that sports space. So everyone I used came from within the sports media space. You cannot be going for banking and finance and you are bringing in someone who you've worked with as a caterer. Where is the correlation? It's not going to work. You're going for banking and finance. Someone recommending you should be someone you've worked with in the capacity and within the banking and finance industry. It could be economics because it's sort of related. It could be banking as well. It could be accounting. But there needs to be a relationship. There needs to be a relationship. Otherwise, the person is not going to be able to describe your qualities and what you've been able to achieve. Also, your recommendation letter, if you've been able to achieve anything under your supervisor or under the person recommending you, the person should be able to describe what you've been able to achieve and describe your growth process. Like, this person started from this as this, and I am proud to say that today this person has risen to this position, this person has been able to achieve this person has been able to learn this and that during the course of working with me. So these are the things that your recommendation letter should address. So it's not just you getting a professor. Imagine getting a professor like someone advised me earlier, which I mentioned earlier, and the professor just go and write three lines. Like, I am glad to recommend so-and-so person for this position. I taught this person at this time, and I can say that this person will succeed at the program. Thank you. Doesn't hold water. It looks so vague and basic because it lacks like an in-depth description of what you can do. The essence, I'll state this again, the essence of a recommendation letter is for your skills to be addressed. It's for them to assess if you've worked with someone that can attest to how well you will be able to succeed at the graduate program. So while you're drafting that letter, ensure you address everything that can be able to win the admission board, the admission team, everybody, win them over for them to give you that admission. They need to be able, your letter should demonstrate that you can succeed in giving the admission. Your letter should demonstrate your skills. Your letter should demonstrate your growth process. Your letter should demonstrate everything that can win over the admission board. Guys, if you do not have a professor, you will definitely have a supervisor. If you studied microbiology, for instance, after graduation, there are chances that you must have worked in a microbiology space, maybe in a lab or something. So the person, your supervisor, while you worked at that lab, could recommend you. All it takes is for the person to be able to describe you. Please don't go and use your friend. Don't go and use your brother. There's no need. I don't see any reason. Well, what is your brother going to come and say? How can your brother describe your professional experience or how you'll be able to succeed in a graduate school? Please do not use your brother. Do not use your friend. Use someone within a professional space if you know you can't get a professor that can attest to your skills. The first things first is to use a professor. But when you do not have a professor, like in my case, then at that time you have to go with a professional recommender. I wish you good luck, and please, please, and please do not use your friend, do not use your brother, do not use your family relative. Ensure it comes from someone within a professional space. I will see you in the next episode where we're going to talk about statement of purpose and your CV. Until then, stay safe, share this video.